Have you ever just stopped and wondered what's really behind the things we do every single day? I mean, what's that invisible force that pushes you to, I don't know, apply for that job or learn a new skill or even just get up and grab a glass of water? Well, today we are going to dive deep into the science of motivation.
Now, really, take a second and think about it. Is it the promise of a paycheck? Is it making your family proud? Or maybe it's just that simple joy of learning something totally new. It doesn't matter if you're a student cramming for an exam or an artist just trying to finish that one masterpiece. The why behind what you do is exactly what we're going to unpack today.
So here's the textbook definition. Psychologists see motivation as this core process. It's like the engine that not only gets our behavior started, but also steers it and keeps it chugging along until we satisfy some kind of need or want. It's the big difference between just having a goal and actually, doing the work to achieve it.
Now, motivation basically comes in two flavors. On one side, you've got intrinsic motivation. That's the stuff that comes from inside you. We're talking about pride, curiosity, or just loving the activity itself. And on the other side, you have extrinsic motivation, which is all about the outside world. Getting good grades, earning more money, or, hey, avoiding getting in trouble. Both are super powerful, but which one do you think really lasts in the long run?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with our basic biological programming. Then we'll jump into our psychological cravings, take a look at how the world pulls us in, and finally, we'll climb up toward reaching our highest potential.
So first up, the body's blueprint. Early psychologists had this big question. Are our motivations just hardwired into us from birth? Are we all just following some kind of biological script?
And that led to something called instinct theory. The basic idea was that humans, just like animals, are driven by instincts, these built-in biological patterns of behavior. Think of a spider spinning a web or a bird flying south for the winter. The theory was that we had similar automatic programs just running our lives. But here's the catch. While instinct theory was onto something, hereditary definitely plays a role, it just couldn't explain the huge variety and, frankly, the complexity of human behavior. I mean, we don't just act on instinct. We learn, we reason, we choose. So psychologists knew they needed a better explanation. And that brings us to drive reduction theory. This theory says we're motivated by these internal drives. A need, like not having enough food, creates a drive, which we feel as hunger. That drive creates this tension that we're hardwired to want to reduce. So you eat, the drive goes down, and your body gets back to a state of balance, which scientists call homeostasis. Now, what's really fascinating here is how the theory splits drives into two types. You've got your primary drives, the absolute essentials for survival, right? Hunger, thirst, the need for touch. But then you have acquired or secondary drives. These are the ones we learn from experience, like the drive for money or the need to get a like on social media. They're not essential for survival, but man, they could feel just as powerful. But we're more than just a bundle of survival needs, right? Of course. Our minds have cravings too, and this next part is all about the three big psychological hungers that drive our behavior way beyond basic biology. So, a psychologist named David McClelland suggested that we're all motivated by three key psychological needs, just in different amounts. First, there's the need for achievement. That's your NH. This is the person who just loves setting tough goals and getting feedback. Then there's the need for affiliation, or NF. This person is all about teamwork and is usually the social glue of any group. And finally, you have the need for power, or NPOW. That's the drive to have an impact and lead other people. As you listen to this, which one feels like your main driver?
And the thing is, it's almost never just one. Most of us are a really complex mix of all three. A great boss, for example, might have a high need for achievement to hit their targets and a high need for power to lead the team. But they also need a solid dose of affiliation to keep everyone working together happily. It's that unique blend that makes up our own motivational fingerprint. Okay, so far we've been talking about all the internal pushes and needs that drive us from the inside out. But what about the outside forces? What about the things in the world that pull us forward and attract us into taking action?
This is where arousal theory comes into play. It suggests that motivation isn't always about making ourselves feel calm or reducing tension. Sometimes we're actually driven to increase it to reach our perfect level of arousal. We get bored, so we seek out excitement. And people who really thrive on this, they're called sensation seekers. Yep, they're the ones who love roller coasters, scary movies, or any kind of new thrilling adventure.
And right alongside this is the idea of incentive approaches. So if drive reduction is the push from inside, incentives are the pull from outside. An incentive is basically anything out there in the world that has rewarding properties. That delicious piece of cake after dinner? That's an incentive. The promise of a bonus if you do a great job? That's an incentive too. They literally lure us toward a goal.
Okay, so we've covered our biological drives and the world's external lures. But there's a third, kind of more profound perspective that sees motivation as a journey of personal growth. This is the humanistic view.
This whole perspective really asks a much bigger question. What if motivation isn't just about satisfying one little need at a time, but about becoming the absolute best version of ourselves that we can possibly be?
And that is the vision of Abraham Maslow. He pictured our needs like a ladder, a hierarchy. And at the very top, after all our basic needs are taken care of, is self-actualization, that deep drive to fulfill our own unique potential. He also talked about peak experiences, those amazing fleeting moments where we feel like we've truly hit that potential. Think of an athlete in the zone or an artist completely lost in their work.
Now, building on this idea is a more modern theory called self-determination theory, or SDT for short. It says that for us to really grow and function at our best, we all have 3 universal, built-in psychological needs. They're not a ladder, but more like 3 essential nutrients for our minds.
And here are those 3 keys. Autonomy is our need to feel like we're in the driver's seat of our own lives. Competence is the need to feel good at what we do, to master challenges. And relatedness is that deep-seated need to connect with other people, to feel like we belong. When you get all 3 of those needs met, we don't just survive, we thrive.
So we've gone on a whole journey here, from our most basic instincts to our psychological hungers, from the lures of the outside world all the way to the peak of human potential. So I have to ask you again, with all this new info, what blend of these forces is driving you, right here, right now? Is it a drive, a need, an incentive, or are you chasing that best version of yourself?
Because in the end, understanding the why behind what you do isn't just some interesting psychological exercise, it is the key to taking control. Because when you know what truly drives you, you can intentionally start seeking out the goals, the careers, and the relationships that will actually satisfy you. You can start choosing your path instead of just following it.